name, and I'm so happy to have you here. First of all, when people hear your last name, what do they say?
Uh, it's not always pronounced Columbus, Colombos, different pronunciations. I take all of them. I usually say Columbus, um, and I usually get met with a similar reaction to you. Oh, that's a cool name. Like, are you Greek? I'm like, yeah, I am. Family's Greek. Uh, and my family is a descendant rather of Christopher Columbus. I know that's not cool to say these days, I guess, because of all
No,
the
but it's history. It's
history and
so cool.
yeah, all the bad things that happen throughout history. But I mean, can't change that, I
Can
guess.
change it. But I will say some things that you are doing outside of your name, when you see the work that you do, you worked on some really amazing projects. And I know people, let me not brag on you for a second. Would you like to say some of the projects before we talk about this new movie?
Uh, sure.
Law and Order.
Yeah. I was on Law and Order. That was fun.
Don't be
Playing a
shy.
bad guy. City on a Hill, that was cool. I was acting with Kevin Bacon for a couple of days, so that's like a bucket list thing. That was off. The General Hospital back in LA, so that's another bucket list rather. That's off. Silicon Valley, while it was still on the air, that was awesome. Got to act with Martin Starr and Kumail Nanjiani. That was awesome before he became jacked for Marvel when he was when he was a regular guy. Listen, if Marvel's listening, I'm willing to get jacked for you guys too. Like, send it,
I love
send
it. I'm
it.
gonna keep my ear out. And even down for this film, I mean, not only are you an actor, you're a talented like screenwriter. And when it comes down to this film festival, we're one of the top film festivals that's on Film Freeway. And literally, you finalists, you and the team, what all of you have done, y'all are the best star comedy for this festival. You and Chris Mastro.
Thank you, thank you. Yeah, it was that's messed up. It's called. It was originally written for the stage back. I want to say over 10 years ago in LA. Yeah, so it was me, Chris, and our other friend Brian. We've known each other. Well, I've known Chris since I was a kid, maybe 13, 14. Um, much older than that now, if you couldn't notice. And we
Look good.
met
I don't know what you're
our
talking about.
this keeps falling out of my ear and I'm about to throw it out the window. Excuse me, hold on. All
No,
that wax. All that earwax. And we met our trio, the third friend of Brian in college. They both went to St. John's, and I just hung out there. So I was pursuing acting still as a young boy, and we found ourselves at some point all living in LA, and we started producing our own stuff. So this one now is our fourth short film, like legitimate short film outside of web videos and little things that we've been doing. So we were all living in LA. We had written that. Actually, Chris and I written that. Mostly Chris. He's like the brainchild of all the writing, and then
okay.
we adjust from there. He bounces it off of us, and we go from there. Uh, 2020 happened, COVID. And then shortly thereafter, we all wound up back on the East Coast in the tri-state area. And we figured since we're all back here by happenstance, it wasn't planned that way, it just happened. Let's do something, let's produce something. So we spent, I would say about a month maybe or two trying to brainstorm, trying to write stuff. Nothing felt great. And then I had the thought of taking what we had, that little one act play that we had written, and adapting it for the screen. And we gave it a shot, and it was just working, and it was working, and it was working. So it took a couple of months to readapt it. Then we went through the casting process. Basically, I had a couple of people in mind for it that I had worked with in the past, and then I also put out a casting notice to bring in new talent to our projects, and that's how we found the talented Bob Greenberg, the male lead, and
Yes.
I'm glad we did because I think he's hilarious. Um, so once it was ready to shoot, we found our cast, and then I knew this little donut shop on Queens Boulevard that had been there since before I was born,
I bet you was
easily
good
the
too.
70s.
I bet you
Yeah,
was.
it was good at one point, and then it was just a shell of its former self, you know. But when you saw it, it still looked the same as when I was a kid. So I went in there and met the owner and asked if we could shoot something here overnight, a couple of nights. She said, yeah. And then we did that in October, over 2 nights. We were a hard in and a hard out, 8 p.m. in and 7 a.m. out, 2 nights in a row.
You had one, like basically you had to rush right before customers came in, right?
Yeah, yeah, pretty much. The second night of shooting, I had to essentially stand between the owner opening the store and us finishing the shots because there was customers lining up, and I was essentially begging her to let us finish the shots because we didn't have another night.
Wow. You're really
Budget
good at
wise,
working under pressure. Yeah.
yeah. Well, I grew up in the restaurant industry, so being in that environment, the only difference was I wasn't serving food. I was shooting something, and it was overnight instead of during the day. That was the only difference, but the pressure was the same.
I was going to ask you, do you have any advice for any filmmakers that are watching this right now when it comes down to time constraints? Because I'm thinking to myself, man, there are so many people that they struggle with balancing all the pressure with the people and teams and trying to accommodate everybody and keep the energy still happy.
Yes, actually, I do. Bring in people that you know and trust to work with you. Keep your crew small. I mean, I would say that's not really a choice. With budgetary restrictions for every aspiring filmmaker, you're not exactly working with millions to make a superhero movie. You're working with thousands, and the time constraints. So keeping everybody quote unquote happy and on the same page and whatnot is working with people that you trust and you know, and you know that you give them a role and they'll responsibly and confidently do it without you being on top of them, which I've learned in the past by that. That's not always the case. You know, you'll put somebody in a role, they might not do their job. And for time constraints, always be willing to call an audible. Always be willing to rework something if it's not working. You know, if the shoe fits, as they say, if it doesn't fit, you can't wear it. So there's no point in jamming your foot in it to the detriment of your health and everybody else on the set, and it just won't work. Um, After the first night of shooting, we realized we were behind schedule to say the least. So we had to rework a bunch of shots, and even though we did after the first night of shooting, towards towards the end of the second night of shooting, we still had to just run and gun on the fly because the time was minimal. We went from 3 hours, 2 hours, 1 hour, half hour, 20 minutes, you know. And even though it was passing fast, it still felt like an eternity because we weren't getting exactly what we needed. We finally did, and I thank former Alpha Donuts because it's not there anymore. It closed about 6 months after we shot there.
Man, wow, at least you got like the timing and everything just right.
Yeah, it wasn't. I always had that in mind. It wasn't my first choice. I had scouted a different coffee shop, and after visiting a couple of times, it didn't feel right to shoot it there. And then I went to Alpha Donuts, which I had known forever, and I said, "Okay, this is the place." We shot it there. Yeah.
And thank you for sharing that advice. And I wanted to say, I feel like on top of obviously you want to come have a beautiful completed project that people love, but I also know that there's a little personal story that's behind it with some of the characters, if you can speak about that. And rest in peace to her.
Oh yeah. Thank you. I own and operate a diner with my family here in Queens, so when we first took over, it wasn't unlike Alpha Donuts. It wasn't that 70s feeling, but it was a different 70s feeling with just like all wood paneling. And the average customer was older in their 50s, 60s, 70s. And I came from working in the city in Murray Hill, where the average age of the customer was 21. So I got put in Queens in an old coffee shop that we just bought, and my pops was like, "Okay, here, run it." Like, all right, great.
This is a change.
So yeah, it was it was a culture shock, uh, to say the least. But I wouldn't change it because I have so many inspirations from that time, even still. But one of them was one of the characters that we based in the movie. Her name is Millie, and she was an older, I don't want to say recluse, but I don't know if she kept in touch with her family. But she would come in every day, curse at me, curse at the other customers, eat her French toast, curse again, pay and leave. And every day it was the same thing. And we would fight all the time, but she would come in and eat. Yeah,
It
so
was like
you can't.
love, I guess. A different
Yeah,
type of love.
every day she would come in with her bags and whatever. She would be bringing in, who knows why she was carrying what. I don't think she had any real errands to do. She was about 80, and she would piss everybody off in there. But I couldn't kick her out. I tried. She wouldn't. She'd just keep coming back.
Oh,
So the opening of our film is an ode to Millie, played by the super talented Barbara Haas, and she really channeled Millie correctly, because that's how I remember her. Not oh, actually, she was vulgar. She was definitely vulgar at times. She said I should get hit by a bus one time. And the bus
okay.
stop was right in front of the diner. Yeah,
Tell me how you feel, Miss Miller. Oh
yeah,
man.
yeah. I would mess with her though. I would like send her to the pharmacy across the street, tell her that the guy's looking for her. She would go there. Like, he's not looking for me. Fuck you. Oh, sorry. I don't know if I can curse.
I'll just mute it. But man, I will say that old people have the best stories. I mean, even down to when you speak about family, I know I have memories as a kid being in the villages of Africa, listening to like people older than 100 years old telling me about stories of the war, and they're drinking like straight like vodka. These people are living their best lives. They don't care.
That's true. That's true. There's especially in other countries. My family is Greek, so
Mhm.
when I go over to the motherland, and yeah, I see older people hanging out, drinking, trying to give you advice. Same thing here, you know. Maybe that's what Millie was trying to do. She was trying to give me advice. I don't know if she was drunk though. She might have been.
Listen, she was drunk, but you know what? She was drunk on love when it comes down to everybody. She just had a different way of showing it. That's what I'll say. Because she inspired, you know? And I will say, I know you guys, you're doing your festival runs right now. And are there any in particular people that you're trying to meet, any sort of platforms that you're maybe wanting to go on? Give me the tea, give me the info.
Um, as far as our submission plan was concerned, any comedy festival, we were submitting to that. We recently won Best Actress in a short at the Northeast Film Festival this past
That's not surprised,
last week, actually.
not surprised, but keep going.
So
Congratulations.
that was, thank you. Amanda Brooke Lerner, also mega talented, won Best Actress in a short, not just a comedy short, just a short overall. And I think she deserves it. She was great. I had a feeling she would get it, and I was giving her hints about that through the entire post-production process. I don't know if she believed me, but I think she does now.
As long as she believes in herself, and it's like you with you, like even having her be a part of everything, and then it's like she'll see it. Everybody just has to believe in themselves. But I know that this was just the beginning because you just said it was two for her.
The for Amanda. So she was not well, actually for that film festival we were nominated Best Actress, Best Actor, and Best Comedy. Yeah, so we won Best Actress. Would have liked to have swept, but listen, I'm not one out of three ain't bad.
I'm gonna tell you right now, I know many people that will see this and other filmmakers, they're gonna be like, man, your goals. Goals. And to the moon. That's what I'm gonna say, to the moon. And is there anything else that you would like to share with anyone special about this film that I possibly have missed? And are you coming to the festival maybe? Because I know I would love to see you at the festival and other people would too.
Festival, yes, it looks like we're trying to get some dates ironed out because it will be on a Sunday or a Saturday.
Saturday. It'll be a Saturday for a day. So you can pop in, pop out if you can.
Saturday for a day.
Yeah,
Yeah, okay, great. Yeah, I've been looking at Airbnbs and whatnot, so I
there's a
can travel.
there's a discount site. I'll text you. It's on the articles. And so
Yes, yes, yes. You told me that.
I love
That's right.
I use it for a lot of stuff. But
Okay.
man, you were dope. You were
Oh,
dope.
thank you. So are
And
you.
and definitely when it comes down to support, I know with my role as a director, different distributors and other people that I'm speaking with, also when it comes down to my role within Opulence Pictures, so we have all of our movies are with A-list talent, everything with pre-sales. So with that, I deal a lot with that pre-sales. But when it comes down to the festival, I for sure want to create a new pathway where how can we streamline more independent films with the expertise that I have.
Awesome. Yeah, I can see you're very goal oriented in that aspect, so I can respect that. That's nice.
Thank you. I think I will say one of my drives and what makes it easy with the craziness is working at an Apple store. So if you've ever been to the Apple store and you see the Genius Bar, I used to be that person that ran the crazy. So I knew everybody's issue. I knew all the customers, every iPhone, every computer, how long it took. I knew all the technicians. I knew who were my best guys, who needed help with this. And so when it comes down to making sure people weren't waiting in the Apple store for like 5, 6 hours, I was that person to help reduce that time to like 30 minutes. You're like quick, or if it's a cable swap, in and out. But when it comes down to systems and making sure you know your team when you're speaking about those things, that's very, very important. Very, very important. So that way, if there's anything that gets slowed down, okay, how do I come? Let's clean this up so everything can keep rolling. We cannot slow down.
You have any advice on how to get these not to fall out of your ear?
I will tell you right now, I'm probably the worst person because considering that I've lost my sixth earpod now, I am I
Okay.
think I think that thing right there, I'm gonna get some feedback to Apple. They need to make an alert if that thing gets lost. Bing, bing, bing. Let me know now so I won't find it two
Yeah.
miles later.
You can put an air tag on it so it can hang like a hoop earring.
Listen, I got you. But let's stay in touch. And if you need anything, let me know. And man, you have a good day. You're awesome, George.